On this episode of Travels with Bill, we're in Rossburn, Manitoba, and there's a bear. Now, it's probably not going to get you. This is Duke the bear, and he's what makes Rossburn famous. Or maybe Rossburn makes him famous. In either case, you need to come to Rossburn to see Duke in person. This particular version of Duke, the giant black bear, is a life-size bronze statue created by renowned Ontario sculptor Ruth Abernethy. The original Duke, though, used to live in Riding Mountain National Park, just a little north of here. He also wandered outside the park at times. We know he existed from February 1978 until October 1992. Duke was killed by poachers, but at the time of his death, he was the largest black bear ever measured, weighing about 812 pounds. Since then, the record has been broken several times. Duke became famous through a study done from 1987 to 1990 by wildlife biologist Paul Paquet and his team. Paul estimated Duke's height, standing on his hind legs, to be almost 8 feet. Because of this research, it became clear that bears in this area, and especially in the Riding Mountain National Park, are above average in size, some of them being larger than adult male grizzly bears in the Rocky Mountains. Duke lives at the Rossburn Memory Park, and there's a lot of neat stuff here. Check out the flowers. Don't they look absolutely incredible? We're visiting in very early July 2022, so certainly if you're coming in the summer, you can expect flowers like this. Though, of course, with flowers, seasonal changes occur, but it'll always be a beautiful park to stop in and visit. There's a lot more to Rossburn, but before we get to that, we're going to look a little more at the park, because it's kind of a nice place. You can certainly have a picnic here, or even just sit and watch the world go by for a little while. Lots of people have their memories on the wall there too, and more being added over time. Beautiful walkway goes down the middle of the park here, and there's lots of spots to stop. Some benches, some tables as well, so you could certainly stop in here with the kids and do that picnic lunch, or maybe you're out for an afternoon stroll and just want to take a walk through the garden. Rossburn's located on Highway 45. That connects Russell to really just south of Riding Mountain National Park. There's a neat brochure available on parklandtourism.com for the Route 45 trail. You can go through there and it'll show you all the neat places to stop, including, of course, Duke the bear. I'll put a link to where that guide is in the description of the video. Beautiful fountain at the back of the Memory Garden here in Rossburn. I like how that water's coming down. They've certainly done some work on this. Look at the flowers, though. That makes it extra special. And there's even a spot for your feathered friends to live. They've got a custom-built birdhouse that looks absolutely adorable. Just hear that water running down. It's a beautiful summer day, and the water adds so much to it. I want to show you a bit of the back of this too. In case you're thinking you want to make one of these at home, you can certainly do it. They've used a lot of railway ties here for the backing, and that's significant because Rossburn used to have a railway track. In fact, if you've ever heard of the Rossburn Trail, well, that's part of the old railway track. We're going to take a look at that just in a moment or two from now. But there's some railway ties that no doubt at one point used to have the train going over them. Peek up in the sky here at the birdhouse. They've certainly put a lot of work into that one, haven't they? It's a multi-story birdhouse, at least 3 layers there for your feathered friends to enjoy. I wonder if they're happy about living inside a house that big. Probably. So let's talk railway for a moment. At the turn of the last century, the growing town of Rossburn petitioned the province of Manitoba for a rail line. The railway, they reckoned, was the quickest way to get goods to town and grain to market. It was rail or horse and wagon. In 1901, the Manitoba government gave Canadian Northern Railway the contract to build branch lines throughout the province. CNR built a line from Neepawa through Rossburn to Russell, called the Rossburn Subdivision. We're looking at the elevator in Rossburn. It's left behind after the rail line disappeared. It was September 1905 the first time a train arrived in Rossburn. It carried a large amount of freight, mostly heavy items like plows and stoves. There were a few empty grain cars and one passenger coach. For passengers, the train was so fast, it took your breath away. Winnipeg to Russell in just under 12 hours, compared to how long it would take a horse to make that same distance. As roads were built, people bought automobiles and trucks, and the rail traffic declined. The Rossburn station closed in 1975, and in 1996, the last train rolled down the Rossburn Subdivision. The line was abandoned after 90 years of service. Shortly after, though, the Rossburn Subdivision was purchased to become part of the Trans-Canada Trail, and is known today as the Rossburn Subdivision Trail. You can still see where the old rail line went by the tracks in the grass there. The trail is well used. Queen Elizabeth II Diamond Jubilee Park is part of the Rossburn Trail. It's a nice place to stop if you happen to be traveling down the trail. Cute little bridge there too. I like that. Now there's no water the day we came, and I don't think there often is. but I do like the bridge because it certainly adds a little ambiance to the whole setting, doesn't it? After Russell, this railway track carried on along through Roxton and ended up in Yorkton, Saskatchewan. Of course, that's all gone now too. You can still follow the trail though in most places and make out where it went. Google Maps is good for that, or in this particular section of the Rossburn Subdivision, you can travel the trail. There's even a website for the trail. I'll link to that in the description as well. Some interpretive signs here that kind of explain how the rail line worked. There's even photos of the first train there. That's kind of cool. I love how they kept track of what was on it too. That's how important the train was to the community. Certainly lots of interpretive opportunity here to find out more about the train and what people were doing with it. When I was traveling through this area, I took the whole day to travel Highway 45. I suggest you do the same because you'll want to stop in Rossburn and some other places along the way as well. Quick shot of that bridge because I am a sucker for that bridge and how nice it looks. To just walk over, you can take some neat pictures there too. And of course, one more look at the elevator as well. It still stands tall and proud in Rossburn. Quick trip over to the Rossburn Museum. We're not going to go inside today. We'll come back and do that a different day. But check out the Rossburn fire pumper. That was used in the 20s and 30s. It had water and chemical in there. It was stored down in sort of the middle of town by the CN tracks, but it could be rolled to wherever there was a fire and then spray that stuff on the fire. Essentially, it was a fire retardant to hopefully put the fire out. Lots of stories, of course, at the museum. We do have to come tour the whole thing just to see what all is inside that building. Maybe you should make a point of doing that when you're in town. Taking a peek at the downtown core here, lots of businesses on the go in Rossburn. Full grocery store there for you, so certainly if you're going up to Riding Mountain National Park, you could stop in at Rossburn, see Duke, and load up on groceries so you're ready when you arrive. Or you could think about just sticking around the Rossburn area for a little while because it's certainly beautiful enough here too that it would be well worth going camping here. Prior to January 1st, 2015, Rossburn was a town, though amalgamation in Manitoba made it part of the Rossburn municipality. It's fairly near Wew'suwet'en First Nation. There's an elementary school and a collegiate school. Rossburn's also home to the Brandon Wheat Kings player Chad Nychuk, who was deemed to the name the Rossburn Rifle after scoring multiple game-winning goals as a 20-year-old. Chad became a fan favorite in the Westman area. You can find his face on shirts around the area. The Rifle was born and raised in Rossburn and put it on the map in hockey circles. In 2021, the population here, according to StatsCan at least, about 489 people. That unfortunately dropping a bit, 4.5% down from 2016 when it was 512 people in what used to be the town of Rossburn. Rossburn itself named for the Reverend Richard B. Ross, an early settler to the region. We'll take a little trip around Rossburn here with the drone so you can see the town in all its beauty, and it is a beautiful town. They've done a really good job here of making it pop and making it a very nice, clean place with lots of flowers and lots of things to see and do. Maybe you'll even see your house if you keep watching here for a bit. Have you subscribed to Travels with Bill yet? We'd love to have you as a subscriber to the channel. We're traveling all over Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and indeed Western Canada. Not only to places, but also sharing some neat history along the way. You'll find all sorts of interesting things on the channel, and when you subscribe, you'll be one of the first to know when we release a new episode. For now, though, we'll pack up and get traveling down Highway 45. Make sure you check out the links in the description to get to that brochure about everything you can do on the highway, and indeed here in Rossburn too. From high above the former town of Rossburn, we'll see you next time on the next episode of Travels with Bill.